All right, how you doing today?
Doing great.
That's wonderful.
How about you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I really am.
Okay. What's up?
Well, I thought that it would be a good time to have a conversation. I know you were trying to see if we could speak a few months ago, and I was trying to get through a few things myself, so I wasn't quite able to create a space yet in my mind, for a conversation.
Fair
Uh,
enough.
I didn't want it to be packed
I
into
hear that
these.
good. Okay, I'm listening.
Let me make sure it's up louder. I didn't want it to be packed
Oh, that's
into.
better.
Is that better?
Hmm.
Okay. I didn't want it to be packed into the fact that I was already exhausted. And so
Hmm.
sometimes when you're exhausted, you just don't have enough capacity to have a clear conversation.
I agree.
Yeah. So um what happened for me was that I did finish some things that I had made as commitments. And once I came to the completion of those commitments, then my goal became to rebalance life, to get back life in balance, things that I knew that I had to put on the hold in order to complete the objectives that I had in front of me, because I knew there was a hard beginning and a hard end. So those things being done. Following that, what happened was I didn't expect, but I had a medical emergency. And so, with that, it required that I just be still. And in being still, um, I also had a project that I was planning, but the project became more defined. It was as if I was having a conversation with the Almighty and the ancestors
Okay.
about a solution that um, is needed right now in the world in a big way. But Doc, I have a partner who is a functional medicine physician. And so we both talked about not only how we heal others, but also the desire to heal our own selves and heal our own families, you know. And so in that context, I could not go forward without starting with you. If it
Oh,
is that I'm going to start with wanting to have a conversation that can hopefully create a space for healing, then that's the first place that I felt I needed to go because I've been reflecting over many, many moons. Um, but when I think about the reason that you and I are even in one another's lives, it was because I picked you,
okay.
and I picked you and I accepted all of the responsibilities that came with picking you, even though at the time that I picked you, I didn't know what those responsibilities would entail. And I was a kid myself. So, as a kid trying to grow up with parents who were young, everybody made the best decisions that they could make along the way with what they could do. But
Hmm.
I think it left you and I with um, a relationship that's kind of twofold because a lot of what I felt was that I had guardian type responsibilities. So almost like, I felt like a little parent over you because of the age difference and then the responsibilities for caring for, disciplining, and all of those things, for you. And then also, there was a place where, I wanted to be a sister to you, but it seemed like that was a harder relationship to create coming out of the other relationship, maybe where it had been more of you know, I don't know, kind of like a second mom, if you will, or third mom, in that journey. And at the same time, fighting through, my own journey of, of,
Hmm.
of growth and development. What I realized or what I think because one of the things that,
1 second. Let me open up my notes because I want to be able to respond at some point. I want to be able to remember, even though you recorded it. I need to be able to.
and I can stop. I don't intend to give a long monologue about anything. I mean, I wanted to have a conversation. I just was giving you kind of the perspective.
Got
So
it.
any
Yeah, that's fine.
moment that you want to jump in,
No,
it's there's
I'm here to listen. You called the meeting, so I'm actually here to listen for the most part.
okay. Well, some of the work that, again, like I said, I've been doing, and now I'm bringing this work forward to other people. Um, it wouldn't make sense to not present the possibility for your involvement and engagement with this healing journey,
Hmm.
to see if there's a way that we can heal our families and, create a new intention of what that could look like going forward. So that's really what, you know, um, the conversation is really
I'm
about.
gonna be looking down and looking up. Okay, so don't want you to think that I'm not listening. I'm just kind of have none of my notes open.
Okay. Yeah. So that's really where it's coming from. The program that has been given me is built upon some work that I've been doing. I don't know if you're familiar with A Course in Miracles. It's a year-long um, course, and
Mm-mm.
um, I'm on my second year through the course. The course I
Tell
would
me
just
about it.
so the Course in Miracles. I don't know if you heard of the lady Marianne Williamson, who wrote the book A Return to Love.
Mm-mm.
She wrote that book. She's been cited a lot. She ran for president in the last election cycle.
What's her
She did.
name?
Marianne Williamson. And when she wrote the book, A Return to Love, she wrote that following her completion of A Course in Miracles.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those things. The course is 3 books in one. It's a
Mm-hmm.
text, it's a workbook, the lessons, and then there's a teacher's manual that are all part of the course. And I originally was introduced to the course back in 2003. So
Mm-hmm.
it took a long time before I could complete the course. But in 2022, I completed the course. And I knew I was given guidance in 2021 that I
Mm-hmm.
was going to complete the course in 2022,
Okay.
and that I was going to, once I completed the course, that I was going to teach what I was learning. And that's why I needed to go through it first so that then I could go back through it a second time and then begin to teach it. Um,
Okay.
and at the time when I got to the end, I thought, how do you know if you're ready to teach this? How do you find
Mm-hmm.
your audience? And in the teacher's manual, it said that your responsibility is to accept your assignment. And if you accept your assignment, then the tribe will show up. And so that's really what's happened, is that literally I say to people that, hurt people hurt people. As you begin the journey to heal, you begin to hear differently. So you hear in people's conversations things that sound different through healed ears. You hear opportunities to help them because you're able to recognize by what they're saying that really what they're saying is a symptom of a hurt that needs to be addressed. And so oftentimes, unless you go to therapy or, do a bunch of work. I mean, I've been doing work on mindset for over 40 years. So there's a lot. And each time I get to a certain point, I'm introduced to something else that, furthers that development and evolution. And so what I knew was that I've always taught business and finance and all of those things. But what has become clear over the last few years that I'm also supposed to teach mindset, and mindset around death, disaster, divorce, disappointment, um, hurts, all of these things that create emotional scar tissue that people believe are just things that just you forget about or go away, but that's not actually true. What happens is when you have toxic conversations, toxic thoughts, that releases chemicals within your body. And those chemicals within your body look for weaknesses. And so if you've ever had an injury or you've had an area that has been compromised in some way, it becomes a place that disease can form and establish itself. And so
Mm-hmm.
what happened was when COVID hit, I had been working on a business plan for a new company that I wanted to launch once I finished school. That's what I was kind of, my last school commitment to myself. And when COVID happened, of course, we were all shut down. And then I was in the middle of law school. So it became clear that hell, I could be anywhere as long as I had internet. But why sit at one place if I could go someplace else? And it was like, saw a commercial, Barbados was, saying, hey, we give you a year visa to come to Barbados or whatever. And I was like, well, I didn't really want to go to Barbados. I've been there, that's. But so a girlfriend of mine was like, hey, I'm going to Jamaica for a month. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. So I went with the intention to go for a month to see if I could be away from home that long, even if I could even, what would that feel like, right? And I ended up staying for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
We extended her trip, and I ended up getting up to the 2 months together. And the third month, she left me there. And it was like, sister code. When we go someplace together, we leave together. So it was a big
Mm-hmm.
thing for her to, leave me there, right? And I was like, I'm just not ready yet. Like there's something happening here. Um, and I'm gonna stick with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened really in that 3 months was because of the routine. One of my girlfriends, I didn't know about grounding. Are you familiar with grounding?
Mm-mm. In what sense?
Just physically grounding yourself. So grounding where you walk barefoot in the grass or in the sand or in the dirt for at least
Okay.
like 30 minutes or so, what that does is that allows the minerals of the soil that we need in our bodies to penetrate through our feet and get back into our systems and help to balance our bodies out. And so what happened was I always wore like little beach shoes or whatever. Oh, my feet are soft. And my girlfriend's like, girl, if you don't take off them damn shoes and walk barefoot, it's not like,
I
oh
mean,
my
when you make yourself one with nature, that's always a good thing. I don't know if I would consider it to be this. Yeah, brown. That's a cool word for it. But anytime you're in nature, that feels right and it feels good. Okay, so that's what you're saying.
God. I went
Okay.
through the grounding. So what I was doing was I was working to get in 10,000 steps a day
Mm-hmm.
on 7 Mile Beach. So I was in the grill.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that I started the grounding, doing the barefoot. So what happened
Mm-hmm.
was first day I walked in the one direction was about 7,000 steps.
Mm-hmm.
Came back, no problem. The next day, 7,000 steps. On the way back, it was as if something, whatever the toxins or something had been blocking in my system. And it was like a shadow. It went that fast. It was like I'm walking, and all of a sudden a shadow came from behind and just leaped into the water. I was like, what the hell? And then
Mm-hmm.
at that moment, the sun was brighter. The
Mm-hmm.
water was, it was like, like
Spiritual breakthrough. That's what I would
there,
call it.
yeah,
Okay.
like something just said,
Mm-hmm.
boom, And after that, I had been struggling to lose, that kind of that last 10 pounds. And those are always the hard 10 pounds. And I couldn't get any
Mhm.
movement with that 10 pounds. But after that experience, I came home and it was like the work that doc was doing, because he was treating me for adrenal stress, so cortisol, excess cortisol, release in my system. So we were starting, but we hadn't started the real detoxes yet. It was just the grounding exercise that was beginning the detox process, and the fact that I was eating a combination of idle food and, just eating Jamaican clean food, right? So I came home and instantly 10 pounds left. Then,
Mhm.
then before it, all in all, I've lost 30 pounds and I'm even down a little bit lighter than my target now. Trying to gain back muscle because
Uh-huh.
I'm on the low end. I think I'm about 118 pounds. That's like,
Mhm.
that's not the target. But the idea was I started
How
getting my
tall are
body
you?
5'5 3/4".
Okay.
And so I started to feel better.
I mean, as long as you
And
feel better, I think that's a little on the low side, but that's just me. I don't know
yeah,
many people at your age at 5'5", a lot of people would consider that to be below, a little dangerously below. But I mean, when you look at the index, the what's considered healthy, you still fall within a healthy range. So okay.
yeah. So thankfully, I had not had any medical conditions. So it wasn't like I had to deal with anything where he had to get me off of prescriptions. I didn't have anything, but I just felt sluggish. And I felt that my system, my digestive system, had not, I always had problems with constipation. So I wasn't always regular. So what I began to do is to get to that point where I can have regular, digestion, and also that the nutritional supplements for my age, what things would be important for my health and wellness. So overall, I've gotten to a very healthy state. Now I'm in the process of adding muscle. And so I will end up gaining probably about 10 pounds, but 10 pounds
Mm.
of muscle, carefully, aimed muscle. So that's what we're working on, is doing that. And so I'm feeling a lot better.
Okay.
And, with that, it's like, okay, well, let's go. What are we doing next? And so
Hmm.
the business that we are working on is in the space of wellness. And so we focus on not only physical locations, but curating those spaces in such a way that they are focused on mind, body, and soul. And so in mind, we focus on helping people heal from emotional traumas. And that's done through different, fireside chats, groups, all kinds of things like that. And that's what this Healing Homes program is about. It's about kind of creating that tribe of folks who would then travel to our various locations and continue. And then when they're not, they could
This feels
continue.
like a sales pitch. Sorry, I'm just telling. I'm just saying. I'm
Well,
listening, though, but I'm listening. I mean, this feels like a seminar, is what it feels like.
well,
So, but I'm
it's
listening.
it's the
But I
pieces.
mean, because if it works for you, that's fine. But for me, it just feels like a seminar. But I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not rejecting. I'm listening. Okay,
Okay.
here we
Okay.
are.
Well, I don't want it to sound like a seminar.
It
I'm
does.
just wanting to give you a context for where all
Okay,
this came from.
got
So
it.
I think that's probably it, is mind,
Okay,
body, and soul. That's why we're working on mind, body, and
okay.
soul, because it's
And
part of our business plan.
when you say we, who's we?
So me and my business partners.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And you met this person uh in Jamaica. So
Yes.
you guys just kind of networked and vibed and came up with this great idea. And
No, what
okay,
happened was we each were working on our own business plans
okay.
on separate paths, and we ended up at a meeting about a similar thing and connected that, oh my goodness, some of what I was looking for on my plan, my team, he had, and vice versa. So we decided to put our business plans together and go
Okay.
forward. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So moving forward, what would you like to what would you like to say?
Well, like I said, I wanted
Because
to.
this is your journey. It's not mine. And I'm happy for you and your journey. Let's get that straight. If whatever you need, that's great. Fortunately for me, I have a really, really strong support system. So even though I'm not against holistic and spirituality journeys and that kind of thing, because we all can use that kind of thing, I don't think that I've experienced as maybe, I don't know. I'm not that I'm okay, but I have a really vast support system. So Big Jeff is coming in. So like I said, I'm not opposed to anything. Is anything that helps grow and heal and that kind of thing, I'm all for it. It may not be for me, but if it's for you, that's perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He just walked on past me. Okay, he's gone. He's gone upstairs. Okay.
No worries. Okay. So, again, I don't know where to begin in terms of this conversation. I didn't have a script
Okay.
in
And
mind. I
that's
just
speak
thought that I would
full
give you
transparency is
some.
what I'm interested in. And so I don't feel like I'm getting that fully. We've talked about you for about 15 minutes right now. And like once again, above all, like I say, I'm definitely not whole, but I'm definitely for, finding peace and that kind of thing. So from that aspect and everything that you told me, that sounds great.
So as I said from the beginning, I didn't want it to be a monologue. I don't want to be the only one talking. You've said to me that you wanted to listen. So I I kind of I thought I was giving you a context. So I think I've given you a context of where I'm coming from.
Okay.
And then I'm here.
Well, I wasn't sure, of course, from my standpoint, I'm okay physically, mentally. I mean, I've gone, I'm not a big, you know, advocator of sharing my health issues, but I've definitely struggled with all kind of health issues. But I mean, I got through it. I'm healed and that kind of thing. Making simple lifestyle changes and that kind of thing. But as it relates to you and I don't have any closure. And it's my understanding that you're not interested in speaking on specifics, and that's fine. If you're not interested in that, I'm not going to force you. I feel like I've done everything that I could to speak on specifics. And I've never gotten any real I'm okay with never getting closure because I actually don't expect it. Um, so really and truly, this is a conversation for you to get out. Moving forward, I'm not sure what would you like. I'm not really sure because unfortunately, the terms of my closures, there's some unfinished business, and I'm actually in a place, maybe early on I needed it. I don't need that anymore because I've moved on a long time ago. I've accepted things and I moved on with my life. And like I say, because I have a great support system, it hasn't been particularly difficult. Of course, you get triggers and that kind of thing. And those are things that I need to work on. I shouldn't simply, seeing you out and about and that kind of thing, that doesn't bother me. It's a little bothersome that, I would say that for the most part, you would avoid eye contact, you would avoid interaction, that I had to physically get you to see me. And those were things that I felt like I had to do because I'm not invisible. I do exist. My thoughts and my feelings are valid, and I've never felt like they've been addressed. When I talk to you, it's usually about you. Have we ever talked about Shonda and how Shonda feels and how everything affected Shonda's life? I'm not a victim. And I chose not to be a victim. I'm not a victim now. I never was. I made a conscious decision to remove myself from a toxic situation because I have 3 children, a husband. I have goals and aspirations for myself and my children. And if this thing, and I'm going to call it a thing, if this thing is physically, mentally, emotionally draining, no matter, I cannot put a dollar amount on my sanity. And so if it means that I'm not, and it's and when we talk about a dollar amount, that's minute compared to the bigger scope of things. Like I say, and I'm not gonna go down a rabbit hole because like I say, I'm in a great place. I have been for a while. And so I'm not willing, to open up wounds just because I'm looking for some sort of closure. If it is that you have anything that you would like to add or say or anything, that's fine, but it's not required. I don't necessarily need it. Triggers for me, like I say, seeing you and that kind of thing, that doesn't really worry me other than, being treated like I don't exist in the room, which I do exist. And that doesn't bother me. I made my presence known clearly. So, other than that, I'm okay. I don't have to revisit too much of anything because that seems to be a really uncomfortable topic for you. Um, unless this is why I felt like there needed to be support there, because there's so much conflicting information, even as well as between you and I. You and I, this was an issue between you and I, so I'm not clear on why is there so many different conflicting information. You and I had a business agreement, as that relates to any past, when you say that you want to start out with, you chose me. Let me say first and foremost, if it is that you need to hear this, I am who I am today because of you. So I know if that's something that you need to hear. So if you ever felt like I strayed or I didn't understand the assignment, you know, as a little kid, I watched you very closely. If you did not know that, I watched you very closely. And even though, because here's the thing, you and I parted ways, I would say, I don't know, I was maybe 27, 26, I'm not really sure. But I would say our journey down a negative past probably started when mommy died. So I was 22. So I was still a baby also. So when you think of me in maybe some level of turmoil or burden that I was on you, because it sounds to me like, you're having some issues with having to raise me. And I didn't choose to be here. I was dealt a hand. And so maybe as a child or as a teenager, I didn't understand, what the blessings that were presented to me. And you probably felt unappreciated and that kind of thing. And that's understandable because I can look back now. But it appears that, well, let me say this. Let me stop bouncing around. You don't really know me, I think, because if you did, you would know that I am a bit of a carbon copy of you. Okay. And so any way that I move, I'm thinking of what would Stephanie do first. Okay. And I've seen you. Yeah, I mean, it's the truth. So when I move, is that a good laugh or a bad laugh? Is that, how do you feel about that?
If somebody said, hey, answer this question, and these are the options for the answer, I no, I wouldn't have,
So you didn't have any inkling that,
I wasn't,
am I
no, I
saying to
didn't.
do something that is surprising?
It is actually,
Okay.
it really
Okay.
is. And just to
Mhm.
clear up one point, my statement about choosing you was not a complaint about you being a burden. I'm just saying that that was who, as a young person, I felt like it was the right thing. It was about love. It was about doing the best that I can. But it
Well,
wasn't that I knew what any of those things meant,
as
the
a 10-year-old
consequences of
child,
those.
you cannot make that decision. You
But my
can't.
mom, but that's what mom said. She helped me to that because I made a deal.
Make that kind of deal at 10 years old. So I'm gonna have to disagree with you. Ultimately, it was her decision. Now,
Sure.
how things panned out and played out in you know, as a sibling, your story is not unique. Um, Children often, especially in larger families, it was just you and I. So just imagine the larger family with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kids, and
Sure.
the older siblings have to raise the younger sibling. That's not a unique situation. And I'm not saying that you should not be praised and recognized for that, but those you carry the burden, or the that you made this great decision at 10 years old. And I have to disagree with that, because ultimately it was not your decision. You were not capable of being financially responsible. You were given the task of being a playmate, or the big sister, and that's what you were. I don't consider you to be a guardian. To some degree, yeah, because like I say, if I had to reflect and say, okay, where did I get my biggest influence from? It definitely was you. You and mommy were completely different people. So I took a little bit from you, a little bit from her, a little bit from grandmother. To this day, this is how I form who I am. Grandma next door, we call her grandma now. She's not Jeanette, we call her grandma. I watched her and how she cared for her home, and the way she cooked, and the way she kept her house clean. She had a husband. So when I think about me, who raised me is, I have a tribe of women. You were just the one who was there in the first probably 20 years of my life. And so, not to take away, once again, I praise you. um I would consider myself, no, I'm not the best version of you, but anybody who speaks to me, I don't have a lot of people around me other than Beth, and I don't speak to her that often, that were present, to witness the relationship between you and I. And I don't need validation from anybody. I am telling you, if you did not know, you shaped me into who I am now. And so, good, bad, or indifferent, if you see a negative side of me, I got that behavior somewhere. If you see a brash side from me, I got that behavior somewhere, because I've watched you interact with others. And I said, oh, okay, that's a boss. She handled that. Or I said, that was mean what she did. She made that person feel bad about themselves. I've been in several. I don't know if you know this, but you would carry me along, in a lot of, your uh uh you should do a lot of, like, I guess, PR,
Meetings
is
and
that what it is?
everything.
Okay. So I remember being in different situations, because I don't look like you. And, maybe I wasn't introduced to certain people. I clearly recall overhearing very negative conversations about you, like extremely negative. And I would come out of nowhere and come to your defense, whether you knew it or not. I did, because you were my protector. And I don't know if you knew it, I was your protector also. And I've even in the face of disagreement, I've had to correct. We live in a world, or in existence, where side talks are there. We can't control that. All I can do is control how I respond to it. And so, like I say, when it comes to, you know, I don't think you should be surprised by, I barely have a high school diploma. So most of my intelligence, I wouldn't even say my intelligence, I would say most of my knowledge, because my intelligence comes from within. It doesn't have anything to do with my knowledge of tangible, my book smarts, or that kind of thing. I learned those things from you. Um, you were a very diligent student. Um, and that was a very admirable trait that you had. And so I was not. I was I did well sometimes, sometimes I didn't, but it didn't matter, because I had Stephanie. And if I didn't know something, Stephanie knows the answer. So let me ask her. Okay. So the unfortunate thing is, once I kind of grew into Shonda, uh, I feel like you were not prepared for Shonda. Okay, would that be fair? A fair statement? And I
Absolutely.
think that Shonda, Shonda is a force to be reckoned with. I
Absolutely.
am.
Yeah.
And I would say that with all that I've been taught from you, and everybody else, I'm a force, and I don't think you were prepared for that. And so
Absolutely.
so that means that if I push against, or if I disagree, or if I hold you accountable, I'm coming off as being uh unappreciative, brash, uh I can't think of the specific words that, just a problem. I feel like I'm an obstacle. You have your agenda, my opinion of you and your agenda, and I'm not going to go down that road, was completely different than mine as it relates to estate planning, what to do with this house. All I know is what I have been taught when I was a little kid. And to me, loyalty to even those who are not here. If I give you my word, this is what I'm going to do. In your absence, I'm not going to betray that. And I thought that we had that same, I wouldn't even call it an agreement, because to me, it's as simple as riding a bike. Either you have it or you don't. If you chose to stray away from the bigger goal, then that's something that you decided to do for personal reasons. Whereas my ambition was to do the work, and to do what was asked, and to carry out wishes. And so this is where, thus we are where we are. Like I say, I'm not interested in going down specifics and that kind of thing, because I am 100% whole that I did everything that I possibly could to uh carry on the legacy. The great thing is that, yes, I'm still here, in mommy's house. I've taken care of it. I've made it a place of sanctuary. Everybody comes here. My house is looked upon as a safe place. I did not get it for free. Nothing was given to me. I was given an opportunity. That's it. And that is it. And you know that. I was given an opportunity, I had to pay for it. So if I hear things like something was given to me, I take that. I'm very that's a very offensive to me, because you can lead, whatever the saying is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can let him drink. But I have maintained. Um, I have not mismanaged, misused. I have treated it like it was the blessing that it is. And I'm here today. I could pick up and move to the suburbs to do whatever. I'm choosing not, because actually, I feel this is not a great environment for me. And so I'm gonna have to make some decisions soon. But up until this point, I definitely feel like I've put in my work, and I think that mommy would be extremely proud, because I did the assignment. I know what I was told. I don't know what you were told. I know what I was told, and I'm confident that I feel fulfilled those wishes. Um, in grandmother's case, that did not happen. I know what my intentions was, and I know that I did everything I could do possible. I was more than capable to to carry on her wishes. I did not have the support of you. Now you may disagree with that, and that's fine. It's over. I'm not interested. Now don't get me wrong, because at the end of the day, I can't recoup nothing. I can't recoup nothing. I don't want any money. I don't, that is the least of my concerns or gripe or anything like that. My gripe is that the house could have been saved, and her wishes could have been, and I was capable of doing that. And I did let you know that. I'm sure that you are full well aware of that. I had great credit. We had enough money in the bank. I was just not willing to keep it afloat on your behalf. Okay. So moving forward, you know what, because like I say, I support you in your journey. Your journey is just not my journey, and it doesn't work for me. And I'm not really interested in, you know, instructions on how to, you know, join this journey with you. Now, if it is that, you know, you kind of want to take baby steps into the future, I'm okay with that. Um, I'm okay with that. You know, unfortunately, when I deal with persons in general, I weed out who I let in my space, and who I confide in, and who I gauge. I mean, and so unfortunately, you probably will not be invited into my immediate circle. I have many people who I can hang out with. We can laugh, we can talk. I'm definitely willing to take baby steps, but as of right now, I have to kind of leave it where it is for my own protection, because, you know, even though you're in a great place, I'm in a great place too, but I don't want to backpedal. Not willing to do that. Okay. And so that doesn't mean that I'm not willing to, you know, like I say, take baby steps. But unfortunately, I can count on maybe one, two, three, you know, my relationships that has survived 30, 40 years are so abundant, and I pride myself on that. I don't have many people that I can say, oh, we fell out with, and I don't speak to that person, or, you know, I'll never speak to that person. I just don't have that in my life. Most people that are in my life, they have been there. I don't really even have enough room to invite others in. You know, I don't know if you know, I have 6 siblings. They found me. I didn't find them. They found me. So, you know, if it is that I ever had a question of, you know, whether I was loved or not loved, or where did I come from, I have siblings. I didn't find them. They found me. They all did. Um, and even with them, you know, I just don't have, you know, because of past hurt, you know, I'm guarded, and I'm not willing to take anybody. And it's unfortunate because they probably have great intentions and they want to be in my life. I just don't have a lot of room for extra people to come into my life. My hands are pretty full, you know, because like I say, my immediate circle is about 25 people. And so we all lean on each other and rely on each other. And there's always somebody to call. You know, we want to show, if one of us show up, and we all show up. And so I don't really have a lot of room in my life to take, you know, I just don't, you know, one, it takes a lot of time and energy, you know, things like having weekly conversations and that kind of thing. I don't really have that kind of time, because when I do have time to myself, I want to spend it with my husband. I want to spend it with my children. I just want to sit and have time meditate. You know, you're going through your spiritual journey. I'm going through mine too. So what my spiritual journey looks like, just simply praying in my bed. When I come home, I get ready for bed. I may have a drink, you know, here and there. Or there and there. But it's, you know, it's all a routine for me to kind of get into bed and sit quietly and meditate on the day, or who needs prayer. I am an avid philanthropist. I give. If you speak to anybody, that's one of the first things that they'll say, that I am a giver. I will give you the shirt off my back. But whether you're deserving or not, because I've definitely given in places where one would consider they weren't deserving, but that doesn't mean anything to me, because I don't give with the thought that now you owe me something, because you don't. If I have to give you something from the kindness of my heart, and I have to think about it and remember it, and when I'm in need and you don't reciprocate, that's not your fault, because you don't have to do anything for me. You don't have to. When you give from your heart. And so that's what my peace looks like. I'm whole within myself, because I consider myself to be very loved. Um nothing is a walk in the park. And even, amongst my sister circle, we have our disagreements, but everybody, nothing is so bad that we have to part ways. I'm not gonna remove myself from somebody's life, or I won't remove them from my life unless it is a toxic situation. And so maybe you would have fallen in that category 10 years from now, but you don't fall in that category anymore, because I've made peace with it. Now, if you feel, something like me saying to you, hey, you can't come into the salon to get your hair done because we haven't had a conversation. Let me explain. Like I say, I don't have any trouble coming in contact with you in a common area. And when I did have contact with you in a common area, I didn't treat you bad. I spoke. It hurts my feelings that you have not reached out to the children, because Sterling and I, we doing the best that we can. I'm extremely supportive of him. I check in on him daily, but you, for whatever reason, have not done that for my children. And that hurts a bit, but that's you. I can't, it doesn't define who I am. I'm gonna move and do what feels normal and natural for me. And I can't hold anybody accountable for anything except for myself. And so, like I say, I don't want to go around in circles. I'm perfectly fine, and I appreciate you calling me, and I'm really happy for you, because I've definitely had some concerns. Regardless to how angry I was with you, I've definitely had some concerns regarding where you was mentally, and because I just could not fathom that somebody who was of complete 100% sound mind would have, and I'm not going to even say the word done the things, because obviously you felt passionate, or whatever you felt, for you to make the decisions that you made in regards to what I would call a business transaction. It didn't have anything to do with past hurt, pains. We entered into an agreement, like many business agreements. It fell apart. It did. The unfortunate thing about this is, it was a very unnecessary demise, because it didn't have to go that way. Like I said, I was more than capable of carrying the burden. I was just not willing to do it on your behalf. I just wasn't willing to do it. So, like I say, I am happy for you. Whatever that you need to do to make yourself whole, I care. That's a great thing for you, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for reaching out. And you don't have to worry about any further animosity or anything like that. I'm human just like anybody else, so I definitely have triggers and that kind of thing. You don't have to worry about, I mean, we've had this conversation, and that's all I wanted. I didn't expect to get closure, or I'm not mad. Oh, she didn't admit to this, she didn't admit to that. I am 100% whole that I did all that I could. I presented you with these options, you declined, and that's it, and that's all. So you don't have to worry about me and the way that I might possibly treat you, or coming into the salon. You're welcome, that's fine, because to me it's a great step that you reached out at all. I wasn't expecting it. I had, given up on the hope. It's no problem. And so, we can move forward. It's okay.
All right. Well, again, I'm with, you know, no preconceived requirements, definitely with, whatever uh, baby steps look like, or whatever, or
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
silence, respecting space, whatever those options are. I'm not here to force myself into anything,
Mhm.
that is not there, it's not necessary. I felt that it was necessary to reach out and open up a conversation and try to create a space for just a conversation to happen,
That's
and
fine.
to let each person be guided by whatever words come at that moment, in the conversation. And then be able to, at the end of that conversation, kind of decide, if there's a next, if there's not a next, is,
It's fine. I mean, you're
whatever those things are, but not, I didn't start out with, this is what I'm trying to get from this
yeah.
conversation. It was just,
No, you can't correct, and that's fine. I don't, I had to, because I definitely, I knew better than to know that we were walking into a debate. I'm not interested in that because there's nothing to debate about. So, but at the same time, I definitely am guarded. And I would say that your conversation with me is pretty hallmark of, Stephanie. Um, so I would say that I got out of this what I probably expected. We talked about you and your journey, and like I say, I'm happy for you, and I wish that nothing but continued growth. Um, yeah.
okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for participating in the conversation. Uh, Thanks for sharing, some of your journey and, where you are. Congratulations. You're right. Some of the stuff that you've shared, I wouldn't have known. So I do appreciate you giving me that perspective because I didn't have it. And, at this, you're right. With the kids, I thought that I was doing what you wanted me to do, but
They're
also
on the
I
ground.
was just over in terms of capacity. I was overcommitted in so many ways. And so I didn't have any time for barely myself for a good journey of at least a 10-year window, that I've been, in. I've been on a merry-go-round for about nonstop of kind of 10 years of moving
You're
things.
not right. You can't be right for anybody else, so that's understandable.
So that was what was, in experiences were about, just basically trying to survive through the various experiences and to be able to do the main thing, and that is to take care of my son and
Got
to
it.
get him into adulthood. And, he was a pretty active kid. So there was a lot of commitments that I made that caused me to be stretched.
Mm-hmm.
In many ways. So, yeah, I just didn't have any more capacity to do anything any differently than I could at the time. And,
Once again, they have the same level of support that I do, so they're not lacking in any area. They got about 10 aunties and 12, 15 uncles. So, and everybody, we are a tribe. We run together. When I say run together, that just means, because we don't talk every day, but we are a force. And so I'm extremely blessed because of this. Um, I'm just extremely grateful. So, I don't have a lot of animosity for anybody who had, because there is no void to fill. There is no void to fill. So, that's between you and how your feelings. And if anything, I would say maybe Shanae, because she's how old is Shanae? 30. I don't even know. I lose count. She's born in ninth. So I think she's turning 33 on her birthday. So she's been grown for 15 years now. And so she can form her, the younger kids, if you feel like I have some level of influence over them, everybody's grown now. Shanae's been grown for 15 years. So she has the right to have a relationship with whomever she wants. And so she's never expressed any animosity or anything like that. But she's had a difficult time as well. And so, you know, she most often she one of her coping mechanisms is to kind of be quiet and not say anything. And I think now that she's getting older, she's kind of, let me in on a lot of things that troubled her, as a kid. And so she's made great strides at growth, and we're probably at our best relationship that we've ever been. It's been like this for years with her now. She has a really good job. She's one of the she works at a restaurant, and so she's the head sous chef, I guess you would call it, there. And she kind of runs the restaurant, and she's doing well. She's still here with me because we still in the area, and a 2-bedroom apartment is upward of $3,000, and she just doesn't make enough money. And I'm perfectly fine. I have plenty of room. Jeffrey and Lauren are both on their own. Lauren is in school. She's graduating next year. She's going to have a degree in child psych. There's a child psychologist. She wants to be a child psychologist, and so she's going to go into her master's degree. Right after school, she kind of wants to get it out of the way. She wants to be a child life therapist to children who are in hospitals, who are chronically ill. And Jeffrey, he's in Atlanta. He's teaching. What is he teaching? Visual arts. Yeah, he's teaching visual arts. And so I'm pretty okay. And then I check in with Sterling, and I'm very supportive of him. I use his music, and I kind of, a lot of times when I do tutorials and videos and that stuff, I'll put it, he got little cuss words and stuff going on. So I'll, kind of turn the volume down, because I'll say, what did he say? But I've already used the music, so I mean, I try to put his little music out there as much as I can. I'm always sharing it, because I'm really, pro advocate of, supporting these kids, because we all have made mistakes, as young people, as it relates to, so if you know better, you do better. And so I'm that person. I'm that auntie. And like I say, it's not just for Sterling. I have at least, I want to say 40 to 50 kids who call me auntie. They come out the woodworks. I've had kids, do whole blogs and pay homage to me where I didn't even know that I had such an impact, on their life. So that's what makes me whole. That's what makes me whole. Everybody has their personal struggles, as do I. When I lay my head at night, I definitely have to, face whatever things are plaguing me, or maybe I might have hurt somebody's feelings, or just got into it with somebody at the grocery store and called them a bitch, because that happens. It definitely does. I struggle with anger issues, and I know that. But I acknowledge these things, and I think that's a great thing. It is detrimental that we acknowledge our faults and things that we can do better. And when I say acknowledgement, I mean acknowledge not on a soft level, but on a hard level. I could do things different. I can, this is a serious problem, because you have to step outside yourself and say, hey, if I did this, how would this make somebody else feel? Would you want somebody to treat you this way? And so that would say that's my battle. But because I have done so many great things, I would say that that's a small thing. I just baby steps, day by day. I just walk out of the house and say, hey, it's gonna be a great day and we're fine. It's okay. So yeah. Okay.
Well, definitely great perspectives, and definitely about the journey. And so just as we are talking about, baby steps, and I know that you've said two things. You said that some things you don't necessarily feel the need to unpack.
Wait, I can't hear you. What you say?
You were saying that some things you don't want to unpack, rehash, or relive because you've gotten to a place of closure. But then you also said that there's some things that, maybe not, they're not necessarily 100% complete or 100% closed, because you still have, the desire to discuss or work through those things.
Well, I'm open to whatever. But I've always wanted to discuss specifics, and that's one of the reasons why the support of others, because there are so many inconsistencies on your version of what happened versus my version. I am 100% confident in my perspective. Now, if there is to be a different perspective, you've never offered me that, so I don't know. So in my mind, you appear to be unreasonable and reckless. So that can open up a flood of a negative conversation. I'm just not really interested in that. Now, if it is that you ever, because I can't get anything back. I can't recoup anything. Yeah, I was mad for years. When I drove, you're not here, so you don't have to drive down 52nd Street and get this gut sickening feeling in your stomach. I do, because I know people that live in that area. So sometimes I have to go there, and I avoid it altogether because it's an extremely hurtful feeling to know that I was capable of saving this and I was denied the opportunity. Now, what your version of that is, you have chosen to withhold, and I am accepting of that. I've tried and tried, and I've been sending email after email after, please, even down to the last day, please, what do you want? If it is that you feel like there's something owed to you, tell me. All I can do is say yes or no. I was prepared and pre-qualified to jump into action at that moment. I was just never given the opportunity, and it's done. And I'm okay. I'm okay. No, it hurts. I mean, this is one of those things. One of those things is probably gonna haunt me to the rest, for the rest of my life. But it's not because I didn't put forth what the effort and what was needed. I didn't have control, so I can't. And I'm not a victim. I'm not gonna say, oh, she. I don't know what meaning you. I don't know what your standpoint was or what you feel or whatever. All I know is what I asked for and what I tried to do, and it never happened. We can't. It's a difficult, because on one end you had this business agreement, but it was tied into an emotional situation also. And with many families, we see, who have experienced this, it's usually definitely, a mismanagement, issue. And even though you disagree with some level of mismanagement, what you can't deny is that whatever the mismanagement was, I held it afloat for as long as I could. And I could have continued, but I wasn't willing to on your behalf. And as a homeowner,
Shonda,
yes,
if we are going to deal with this situation, we can have a conversation.
okay.
I would like for that conversation to be factual. So if we're going to pull out the facts, then, we need to be able to do that. What I would have to say is that for me, it's going to take me a second because I'm going through records. I'm dealing with records. Like I mentioned, I've been in 7 years.
Asking you for years, so I can pull mine up right now if I had to.
I have mines as well.
Okay.
They're just in my garage. And
well, let me say this. Because we can, dollar amounts and that kind of thing, because I'm not talking about a dollar amount. We can scratch what you paid, what I paid, this, that, the, or the other. That's gone. I don't stand to recoup anything. I can say I asked you on several, I begged you, even down to the last day. Like I say, these are emails, and your email is still the same. My email is still the same. And I begged you, what is it that you would like? And I lined out several options. Okay. You never
that is not, no, that's not, you started a litigation for probate. After the time, we had to have legal counsel intervene to represent both of our interests.
Why did I have to seek legal counsel? Why did I do that?
But the probate mechanism was not a valid mechanism Yes, we did. We
We
were
didn't
in
go there.
probate
So
court in Berkeley. Yes, that's what you
why did we get,
initiated.
why did we go there? Why?
That was what you initiated with your
After
attorney.
how long?
Long after it were that we had inherited the property. So probate,
How long did you think I would have been able to carry that financial burden?
it wasn't, you weren't carrying the financial burden. What you did in probate court was
No, I'm not talking about probate court. I'm talking about prior to that.
Prior to that,
Mm-hmm.
we had tenants in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal was to have the tenants in the house.
Mm-hmm.
The tenants in the house under Section 8 is what was paying the bills for the house.
Okay. Okay. So why is that? So I had an option. My option was this, because the house, before that tenant came in, the house was empty for 4 months. Do you remember that? The house was empty for 4 months.
Again, like I said to you,
please let me speak. Okay, please let me speak. The house was empty for 4 months. I paid the mortgage for 4 months. By month 2, the surplus had been depleted. And we all know that you borrowed from the surplus. And so after month 2,
no, I did not borrow from the surplus. So you're wrong. We're not going to accept that. I did not borrow from the surplus.
What happened?
I did not borrow from the surplus. No, that is false.
Are you saying that you didn't? Are you serious?
Yes, that is false. That is a false statement.
Okay.
That is a false statement. That is a false statement. I do not accept that. What happened is the surplus was set up and it was automatically paying the mortgage, and you had put extra money in the account for you and your family, and you had communicated it to me that you had. I was so busy with so many things, I completely forgot. I was not able to even focus on it. No, I was busy. I was committed, and I didn't have time to check it. And unfortunately I didn't have time to check it. And by the time you brought it to my attention, it was, there were a whole bunch of things that were happening all at the same time. And so that's why I'm saying that, yes, I'm happy and willing to have a conversation, but I would, if we're going to have a conversation, then we must look at, then we want to put the conversation in the appropriate context of what the circumstances were, because what you don't know is all of the other things that, what you know is your part and that part. That was one thing, but there were probably not more things happening at the same time.
You never seem to have your paperwork together.
No, I have my paperwork. That's why when we went to court, I had every document. Every document. Pardon me?
You only showed up once. I went to court 4 times. You showed up once.
I went to court more than once because we have records. Because remember, I paid an attorney as well. So I went back and forth to court. In fact, that was the reason that my son was asking me after one of the court appearances in particular, why.
You do realize I had come. You do realize I had my family there with me at court. You do realize that, right?
And you do realize that I had to have. If there's a record, these are the kinds of things that we don't have to debate. There are court records that will document it. So we don't have to have a debate one way or another. We don't have to worry about memory. There are facts that would document our respective appearances.
Show them, pull them out.
It's on the court record. We could log into the Berkeley court record.
Are you saying that they're in boxes in your because with the way that the internet and the world is set up right now, there's no need to have physical papers. Everything is can be electronically exchanged. And even back then, I chose to stop communicating with you verbally because of the inconsistencies. You would possibly, I guess, forget, because you clearly called me and say, I'm buying a house. I need $10,000. I'm going to put it back. I even have emails years later asking you to pay it back, and you agreed, I'll pay this money back. Okay. And you never did. I don't care about that. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is that you denied me the opportunity to keep that house. You wanted, or
I don't believe I denied you the no, I don't think that that's an accurate statement. I don't believe that that's an accurate statement, because remember, in probate court, your attorney withdrew. the legal
We
matter.
didn't have probate. We were homeowners. There was no need for a probate. It
But
did
why
not.
were we in probate court? So
We
then you
didn't.
tell me, why
That
were
was
we
not
in
a
probate?
probate.
Yes, we were. That's where your,
Probate means that there aren't any
which was the problem, which was the problem from the beginning. That was my problem from the
We're not
beginning.
in probate, Stephanie. We
Yes,
were both.
we were.
We were owners of that property.
I know. So that's why I had a problem
There
with
was no need for probate. We were all alive.
Thank you. Thank you. Exactly. So why were we in probate court?
Because I was not willing to continue to take the full financial burden.
Why would then that should have been a file for
why didn't you pay your portion? And if I did mismanage the property, you had the option to swoop in. Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you find a tenant to put in? Why didn't you come down here and put the lady out?
At the time, there was other things going on, is what I'm trying to explain to you. Is just because I could not stop what was happening, the other things in the life in my life.
You definitely could. Why not? I had to take control because you were lacking. You had the option to do the same thing. And let's not talk about what your life and what you're saying, because you have one child, I have three, and they were all toddlers. And so let's stop making it about you and what was going on at the time of your life. I made a conscious decision. I'm not a victim.
Well, I'm not a victim. Here's the thing. Just because
to remove myself, I want to send my kids to college, and coming up with $600 a month. My choices were to come up with $600 a month or $1,800 a month. Those were my choices. And I did that for 2 years. And I decided that I was not going to pay that on your behalf anymore. And that's why initially, because up until that point, I made several attempts. You wanted more money. You owed the property. You borrowed from it. You refused to pay it back, and you refused to contribute to the financial responsibilities. When you signed up and you decided to become a owner, regardless of what your financial situation was, this is your responsibility.
And I believe that I upheld my responsibility to the property, Shonda. And so it's no way that I'm going to allow you to change that. We had a particular understanding of what we were each supposed to do. And then definitely during this time that you made another decision.
I was supposed to be the property manager, and you were supposed to handle the financial aspect of it. Is that correct?
You oversaw the construction, the rehab, the construction. And yes, you were the point person with the tenant just to show them the property. And then I helped with the paperwork and the back end and all of the others. So based on
why is it that the bills weren't getting paid?
The bills.
What happened there?
They were getting paid.
What happened there? Huh?
They were getting paid.
No, they weren't. The taxes weren't paid. Their insurance was not paid. Yeah, they were set up on automatic draft. They sure were. But then I started getting phone calls from them saying that this bill is not paid. And so I had to start paying it. So let's cut it here. I'm not going to have a verbal exchange with you about this. Like you say, you have receipts. This is what I would like to do. You get whatever that you have. I get whatever that I have. And with that conversation, I am not willing to sit down unless there are others present. I have absolutely nothing to hide. And I've been waiting to see your paperwork for years. You've never presented them. They exist somewhere.
It was all filed in the court. It was all filed in the court. So your attorney required a filing, and we filed it all in the courts. So there's a court record of all of our documents.
What you did? What? How about this? How about you tell me what is it? So what you're saying is that you did contribute to the property, that you did pour money into it, and that I didn't. That you did fulfill your 100% responsibility. Is that what you're saying?
No, there was a part that definitely I did not add anything to the property. The property was supposed to be cash flowing itself. And there was a point that it wasn't, because we had because there was a tenant issue. I don't know what the situation with the tenant was. The tenant either had to be evicted or something. We had a problem with the tenant.
What happened to the surplus money? Are you saying that never happened? Are you saying that never happened? Are you saying that you did not call me and say, hey, I'm getting ready to buy a house. I need $10,000. Because I have emails to you where you're promising to pay it back. So let's not act like you didn't do that. Okay. I don't know who I'm talking to right now, but clearly. You know, this is where you kind of lose me, because somebody inside of you has a memory lapse.
It's not about having a memory lapse. What I'm saying to you is you're talking about, you know, as each person, you're,
return that $10,000.
pardon me,
Did you ever return that $10,000?
Shonda, to be honest with you,
That would have gotten us 4 months, 5 months. That would have taken care that if had that been there, I could have evicted the tenant. I could have evicted the tenant, and I would not have had to come out of my pocket like I was doing. I had to pay those bills. I sent you the amount you never paid. I'm not sure why you thought that you were exempt as a homeowner, regardless to what. If you didn't like the situation, don't be a victim. Don't be a victim, Stephanie.
I wasn't a victim.
You are Dr. Money. You have
I'm not the victim.
Correct? And so,
pardon me?
I say you have a doctorate in business, correct?
Yes, I have a doctorate in business.
A high school diploma, okay? I barely have a high school diploma.
Mm-hmm.
What I do know how to do is I know how to pay my bills on time, okay?
Excellent.
The bill
excellent, and that has nothing to do.
I paid them. That's it, and that's all.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna end it there. Go ahead, and because it's nothing that I would love better than to see whatever it is that you have that you feel exonerates you.
I didn't say that I need anything to exonerate me, because I don't have anything that I'm trying to be exonerated for. I'm not trying to plead a case and have you, you know, your perspective and my perspective are different perspectives, is what I'm saying to you.
But you can't.
And you may not ever agree or accept my perspective, but that does not mean that your perspective is the only one, is what I'm saying to you. I'm saying that as with every situation, there's more than one perspective, and you've taken certain facts. Wait a second.
The issue is that I was having to pay these bills for this house. This is
okay, so those are the facts that you have. But if we want to go back, those are the facts that you are hanging on to, that you say in this particular circumstance are the facts that bring you pop.
What is your dollar amount?
No, pardon me?
I know how much I did.
We're not going to, why don't we we're going to go through the facts. That way we don't have to worry about if I remembered this day or if I remember that. Let's pull out the records. That way we don't have to guess. We have the facts, right? We have the facts, we have the dates, we have, you know, calendars, we will have a better perspective of a time and place.
Okay.
Because what you hung on to as something as important may not have been the same thing that I hung on to as something as important. That's all I'm saying to you. It's not saying that your facts are not your facts. It's saying that those are not the facts that I was thinking about. I was thinking about something else.
Why didn't you just answer me this? Why did you as a co-owner pay your portion of the bills? Why did you not do that?
I don't have a recollection of not doing that. So that's why. That's why. So if there's, you know, yeah,
okay. I don't know who I'm talking to, and I don't know who I'm talking to. You have a great day, and if you are interested in going to I don't know. I cannot. I tell you what. I will go ahead and resend you, to refresh your recollection, because I cannot believe that you are saying that you did not borrow from that property and that you are.
That's not what I said, Shonda. Don't change my words. Don't change my words. That's not what I said. Thankfully, we have a recording. That's not what I said. I did not say that. I did not say that.
A few minutes ago, you said you did not borrow from the property. What happened? What did you do? What happened? You said that I deposited. Whatever I deposited, and no, I'm not saying that's right, but whatever I deposited into that account, that had nothing to do with what was there.
Exactly.
Once the surplus runs out, it automatically began taking my money to pay the bills, and I left it there so that it could take the bills. That has nothing to do with your contribution. Not one thing. Not one thing.
I didn't say it did.
It confirms further confirms that I paid all the bills. Yes, that's all that does. It further confirms that I put money in there that was used to keep the property afloat. Now I'm gonna need you to give me your no, I don't need you to give me anything. But since you claim to have held up your end and you was very instrumental in paying bills, then go ahead and forward over your deposits. Can't deny deposits.
Let's go ahead and go through our records. Let's plan another conversation. As I was saying to you before, I will get my stuff in order right now.
It's been 13 years.
You know, but clearly it's a baseline.
I mean, why you had the opportunity to present them at that end because I was locked and ready to go. What was the
it was filed with the court, so you had all the records.
And went to court. What was the hold up?
You set that up.
After how long?
It doesn't matter how long you set it up. So once that was set up, that was the issue.
After paying for the property for so many years, do you not think that I was a little bit exhausted not knowing where my money was going? You don't think that was a little? I have 3 children. Do you think that was fair? You could have easily just said, and we could have worked out the dollar amounts later. But in the meantime, this is how much it needs, the property needs to stay afloat per month. This is how much the property needs. You're not giving it to me. You're keeping the property. That money's not going into my pocket, so I don't benefit from it in any manner. We're talking about the property, not Shonda. You're not giving Shonda anything. And you refused to pay portion. I had to pay it on your behalf.
That is not true, Shonda, because you are failing to.
I have begged and pleaded for you to pay your portion that I was forced. I didn't want to take you to court. Who wants to go to court? That's expensive. This could have been taken care of outside of court. Who wants to go to court? No, I didn't want to spend that money hiring an attorney. I did not want to do that. I didn't want to do that. And even if there was a court proceeding in place, at the very end, when the house was going into foreclosure, I asked you again. It was a very simple.
No, you didn't. I was not in communication with you or the attorney. No, you didn't. I was not in communication with you or the attorney.
She sent a letter to my attorney letting us know that she had forfeited the case. Let's start there. Your attorney quit you, okay?
No, my attorney lost her license to practice law. My attorney lost her license to practice law because of another matter.
Another one.
Pardon me?
I said, that's too bad for her and you. Hire another one. And if that be the case, that more so confirms that we should have been, there's always a mediation option. Always.
You didn't exercise that. Your attorney was controlling that.
Excuse me. Always a mediation option. Is that not? Aren't you in law school now?
No,
or maybe you have a degree. I don't know. I have no idea.
No.
But isn't there an option to mediation? Yes or no?
Your attorney that files the claim.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no? Is mediation?
Yes, there should be an option. Yes, there should be.
Okay. So that was an option. And since you're
so it's not an option if your attorney does not present it as an option.
Huh?
It's not an option if the filing attorney does not present it as an option, or if the court does not require it.
You have an attorney. You present it.
No, we didn't even get to the case. If you look at the history of the case was withdrawn before the filing got in front of the judge. So go back and look at the history of the case and you'll see that. Your attorney. Your attorney is the only person who could control that.
No. Guess, and that might be true. I don't know. But guess what? So if that be the case, mediation would have been a great option.
Your attorney was controlling the case at that point.
So are you saying that because of this, this is why it folded? Once again, I told you on several occasions, I was more than capable of taking.
You weren't communicating with me because the attorneys had taken over.
And in disarray, it couldn't handle it. Me and my husband, we were more than capable of taking on the whole entire responsibility. And and we have articulated to you over and over and over again. You were down in the dumps. You were claiming victim. I don't have this. My baby, I have to take off work. Well, guess what? I can handle it. So after that, you had the option to say, well, give me XYZ money. I'm not gonna hand this property over unless I'm being paid. You weren't owed anything. You were in a negative. Okay, let's start there. Okay, you were in a negative. But be it that the
That
case,
is not the case. That is not the case. Even if it was that I had,
why not?
even if there was a case that there was equity,
You've been
it
paying
doesn't
bills.
matter. It doesn't matter. If that were the case, if that were the case,
It does matter.
it
Had you
doesn't,
been
because
paying any bills to the property?
it doesn't
Have
matter, because there's equity in the property. So guess what? My equity would
The
have covered
equity
my
was
portion
not
of it.
liquidated. The
No, it
equity was
wasn't.
not liquidated.
My
There
equity
was
was,
no funds. There was no funds except
equity
for
is the value of the property,
it
Shonda.
doesn't matter. And
It
if
does
that's
matter.
the case,
It
ask me for
does
what
matter.
the fuck you want.
It does
Ask me for what you want. If that's the case and you feel like something is owed to you, tell me. Name your dollar amount. I got it. I got it. I got good credit. Me and my husband made plenty of money. I could pay you anything. I could have paid you whatever you wanted. All I could do is say no. You could have just said that, but instead you chose to run it in the ground.
No,
Okay.
no, that is not accurate. That is not accurate.
Take it on then. Why
That
didn't
is
you?
not
Why
accurate.
didn't you suggest that you take it on? The goal was to keep the house, regardless to Stephanie not agreeing with Shonda. We can disagree on the bigger goal. So where were you in that aspect? You know for sure.
You and I were having a debate about the proper tenant, and you wanted
whether the proper tenant was in there or not. There was a deficit that needed to be paid. We can debate all day long. There was a deficit.
Absolutely.
And you chose not to contribute to that deficit. You weren't putting money in my property. So shame on you. There was a deficit. There was a deficit. And you had the option to swoop in and put her ass out and put in there whoever you wanted to. I could not stop you. I couldn't stop you. I chose for myself. My options were to pay the deficit. She got $1,200 a month for her, and the monthly bills, including lot insurance, whatever else they needed to pay, was about $2,000 a month. And so I made up that difference for 2 years.
Wow.
For 2 years.
Really?
For 2 years.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't recall that, but I'm sure that you have evidence of that.
Why didn't the house go into foreclosure? Okay, so here, let's simplify it. Why didn't the house go into foreclosure prior to that? If I didn't pay it, if it wasn't being paid, how did that happen? How did it stay afloat?
The house was caught up in probate court for a year and a half.
It was not caught in probate court, and I still paid the bills while we were going to court. Somebody had to pay the bills
while we were in probate.
I'm not sure why you continue to use this verbatim. It's a simple. We don't need to insert the court. That came later.
The court is what no.
Prior to that, why did we get to that point?
I don't know why we got to that point.
Who paid
I don't
the
know
bill?
why we got to that point, because that was not anything. I was not party to that. I found out about that by accident. That they didn't even
no, Dr. Stephanie. No, Dr. Stephanie.
Yeah.
No, Dr. Stephanie.
Yeah. If we go back to the records. Yeah.
You're Dr. Stephanie, correct?
If we go back to the records.
Especially nothing as frivolous as that.
If we go back.
Was it so not important in your life that you didn't keep up with it? You were supposed to be, I had to have you removed over the financial responsibility because everything was going underground. I called everybody around. The port's not getting paid. The insurance is not paid. And so I had to physically get on the phone and prove that I was a homeowner so that I could pay these bills. I'm going to need you to be a little bit real than that. You are Dr. Stephanie. This is a very small business transaction. There's no way that you're going to make me think that you were so down in the dumps or not paying attention that this went over your head. Little old Shonda here, who barely has a high school diploma, was able to add 2 + 2 is 1. Okay,
Shonda, you know what?
That's paying $1,200 a month for rent. There's a deficit of $800, and I paid it for years.
All
and
right.
after begging you and asking you to either step off, tell me what you wanted, I had no choice. $8,000 equals $9,600 per year. Simple math. $800 times 1 year is $9,600 times 2 years. Okay? $17,400. Okay?
Okay.
And I'm gonna end it on that. Okay?
Okay.
I don't wish to talk to you no more. Bye.
Bye.